מפי עוללים ויונקים ייסדת עוז.
This past week, I got an email from a young mother who just had her third child, and she wrote to me saying that she's feeling completely and totally overwhelmed. That up until this point, she's been like a very, she feels like a very devoted mother and really like a highly functioning mother. Her house was always clean and she's always like on top of things, and now she just feels like she's losing it. So she said, maybe you have some words of encouragement for me. So I want to share with all of you what I wrote to her, and I thought it could be sort of helpful, general words of encouragement for mothers of young children. First of all, I told her that I once heard that a professor did research on motherhood, and discovered that every single mother, at one point in her mothering career, reaches a crisis. Some mothers, it happens after one child, some after two children. For me personally, it happened after 3 children. Some mothers, after more children. But that every mother reaches a point at which she just really can no longer function as she has up until that point. A point at which she just hits the wall. I know, like for me, after, when I had my crisis, when I had 3 children, I guess like the issue was, up until that point I'd had like as many hands as children, and all of a sudden I had more children than hands. Like, how was I supposed to function? How was I supposed to, how was I supposed to cope? So, the truth is that even though it was the most difficult period of my life, in fact, in retrospect, I realized that it was the most important thing that ever happened to me. In fact, it was the biggest blessing of my mothering life. Because up until that point, I've been somehow, functioning and somehow, going along and being a mother. But that was the crisis that forced me, because up until that point I'd been somehow coping, because all of a sudden I would just crash and I could not cope anymore and I was feeling totally overwhelmed. It's what forced me to finally take the time to go to a parenting class. It's what finally forced me, to get a bit more organized. It's what finally forced me to cut out, caffeine and sugar so that I'd be a bit less anxious. It's what finally forced me, to go and meet with a dietitian to get on generally a more healthy diet. What finally forced me to get more sleep, and it's because of that year. Because of that year of hardship and struggle after I had 3 children, that I even have a website called JewishMom.com, and that I have anything of some worth to say to all of you. It's a period after you go through this crisis. It's what enables you to become your most perfect mothering self, your ultimate mothering self. But you can't get there without going through that hard hitting, crashing, and hitting the wall, overwhelmed sort of time, unfortunately. But it's a tremendous, tremendous blessing. Secondly, I told her, something that I recommended to her, was that, and anyone who's been listening to these pep talks for a while will know that this is one of my favorite pieces of advice, is to make a list for herself of 10 things that she can do to bring more happiness into her life. So this person who was writing to me, she told me that when she was in college, she was like a champion runner, and sports was incredible, and she was in incredible shape, and athletics was extremely important to her. But now that she's become a mother, and she's had one child and another child and another child, now in pretty close succession, so she's gotten out of shape, and she feels really bad about herself. And so I said, when you make this list of 10 things, something very important is probably going to be setting aside for a regular exercise routine. Something else, like she said, she used to be into she used to be like a person who read and thought and sort of like a more intellectual kind of person. And now she's in the diapers and, So I said, one of the 10 things should be finding time in her life for some sort of intellectual stimulation. Even if that means putting her baby or babies with a babysitter for a certain amount of hours a day or a certain amount of hours a week. I said to her that the most important thing that you can give your child is not necessarily you being with them full time. The most important thing that you can give your children is a happy mother. And when you're not happy, and when you're struggling, and you're not feeling your best, then not only do you suffer, everyone around you suffers, and especially the people closest to you, your husband and your children. In conclusion, I want to tell you that like a few weeks ago, I had a revelation that I looked around me and I looked at my life and I realized that I have reached a new stage of motherhood. I have a daughter who's about to become bat mitzvah this winter, and she and the daughters who are just a little bit younger than her are a big help to me. And I just realized that when you have older children who can help you out in the house, who can help you out with the younger children, because I still do have very, very little children, but it's like you're just in a totally different realm of existence. Like now, let's say I have to go out for an hour, I have to go like to a doctor's appointment, I have to go to like the market to get some food. I have live-in babysitters. Or let's say like the house is a mess and I just can't do it on my own. My kids help me. You know, they help me to clean. They help me to, if I need an errand run, they go and run the errand for me. It's like I have help. And thank God, I have a husband who's very helpful, and, thank God husbands can be very, very helpful, but it's only a drop in the bucket, the kind of support and the kind of help that a mother of young children really, really needs. So I've always had a lot of sympathy for mothers of young children, but I think that just for me, entering this new stage of motherhood has again given me even more sympathy to what a mother of young children is going through. And I think that, like young mothers have a tendency, like a mother, she has like one little baby and she's feeling totally overwhelmed, she's not sleeping and the house is falling apart. And then she looks around and she's this mother with 4 children, this mother with 7 children, this mother with 10 children, and they're all managing so well, and they seem so thriving and so healthy, so healthy and doing well. And they think, well, what's wrong with me? I have 1 kid and I'm totally overwhelmed. And this mother with, 5 children is so thriving and has so much energy and has everything all together. But that you should remember that, as a mother with a small child or children, like you are in the hardest experience of your life. It's the hardest years of your life. And it's the time, really, when you need the most help. It's when you really, really should have sympathy for yourself and really, really should get as much help as you can in terms of cleaning help, in terms of, getting babysitters, in terms of just taking it easy on yourself, not making, the extra thing on Shabbat, or not taking on the extra project, the extra volunteer project, because you are now in the hardest period of your life. You're raising young children with no help, really with no help. You're doing it solo. So I want to bless all of us that we should remember, first of all, if you're in the middle of a crisis, you should remember the blessing of this crisis. That because it's a hard time, but that because it's a result of this crisis, you'll become your ultimate mothering self. Number 2 is make a list of 10 things that you can do to bring more happiness into your life. Because if you're happy, everyone will be happy. If you're happy, you can be the best. Being happy enables you to be the best mother that you can be. And thirdly, is just, instead of judging yourself and being critical of yourself and thinking, why is everyone coping and I'm not, to remember that it's not easy. You're raising little kids and you're doing it on your own, and to have more sympathy for yourself, and to love yourself a little bit more. And to bless everyone with an amazing week, an amazing month.
מתנה טובה נתת לנו, מתנה לנו לילדינו, מתנה טובה גנוזה משמי מרום, מתנה טובה שבת שלום.